Welcome to Spitbucket. This week we're here with Graeme Shaw from Shaw Vineyard Estate. Now, that's the Canberra district, but you're not actually in Canberra, you're just outside.
Yes, we're 40 k's out north of Canberra, 15 k's south from Yass in the wine region of Merriman Bateman.
Okay. Now, you've got a couple of Rieslings to start with here. Do you want to tell us about this one to begin with?
Yeah, certainly. That particular one's a 2009 Laughter Series Riesling. The Laughter Series is a brand of wine that we produce for Camp Quality. We do 2 reds and 2 whites. We've been supporting Camp Quality for many years and wanted to do something on a more permanent basis. So we produce that, which is sold only out of their website. It's $129 a case, and for every case we give Camp Quality $50.
And they have these delightful little things. Anyway, back to the wine. That's a lovely limey, lemony, lots of good flavours, quite ripe.
It is. It's a characteristic of all our Rieslings, the crisp lime, citrus flavours, and with this particular one, being able to produce a wine for $129 means we've got to do a bit of work on it. So we do use pressings in this, but having said that, it's a lovely wine. We sent a few samples out to a few different people, and James Halliday got his hands on it, and I didn't send it for the book, but he rated it very highly, and which is great. And we've had some terrific press about this wine. Yeah,
and it's great. Effectively, it's just over $12, $13 a bottle.
Yeah,
which makes it sensational.
Yeah, it is great value.
Well, should I say serious one?
Yeah, well, that's our reserve. We only do 2 reserve wines, which is a Riesling and a Cabernet, and over the years we've shown that the best fruit from our vineyard is Riesling and Cabernet. This particular one is our reserve Isabella Riesling. It retails at $28 a bottle.
2009?
2009, and what we do with this one, we pick it in 2 batches. We do the first batch when it's very high acid, lime, lemony, lots of citrus. And then the next batch between 7 and 10 days, depending on the fruit flavour, but what I'm trying to get it into that next batch is passion fruit, the passion fruit apple. We then blend it, and there's quite a bit of high residual sugar. It's about 17.5 in this, so it's a very Germanic style, but it's a lovely wine, magnificent with delicate seafood.
I mean, this sort of slightly elevated sweetness levels is something that's really coming into Australian Riesling now. There's a lot of, I mean, in the old days you used to get dreadful sweet Rieslings that you could hardly drink, and they were awful things. Then we've gone largely dry.
Yep.
Now we're seeing quite a few makers coming in. Just, I mean, 17's not over the top or anything like that. I mean, some people have got quite a bit, probably up to the 30s, 40s. Yep. Provided they get balanced with sufficient acidity, which this certainly is. There's not a problem.
People come in and we go through a tasting, and we say, "Do you like to try?" Oh no, we don't drink Riesling. So why not? When did you last drink it? 90% of the times years ago, when it was sweet, white, and
anything but Riesling.
Most of those people now, we virtually force the glass onto them, and they taste it. And they love it. I'd say at least 90% of them like it. And out of that 90%, I guarantee at least 70% will buy. So it's just the old perception of Riesling that I think's got a lot of work to do and to get rid of that perception. We also do another 2 labels, which is our premium Riesling and our winemaker selection. The premium's a $22 wine, winemakers are $15. Both of those Rieslings won gold and were selected in the top 40 in New South Wales. So we've proven that the Rieslings from our area can do incredibly well.
Well, Ken Helm has been pushing Riesling in the region for a long, long time.
Ken's pioneered it, and Ken's got to be one of the best Riesling makers in the country. He's just devotes himself to Riesling.
No, he makes some fantastic, and of course the Riesling show that he's behind, the International Riesling Challenge, which is a phenomenal show. Gets Rieslings from all around the world. Can you tell us about Isabella herself?
Yeah, Isabella is the lady who owned the property that we purchased from 10 years ago, Isabella Anderson. Isabella's family were the first people issued with titles for the land. It's a 700-acre property in Merriman, which was always set up for fine wool. We purchased the property from Isabella. She wanted to see the rural activity continue, and we had discussions with her, bought the property. We named this wine after her for all the work she's done on the property over the years, and unfortunately she died a fortnight before we bottled it. It's been good, and I like to tie the reserve names to the land and to the original people who are involved.
Which we'll get to in 2 seconds, but just one final point. One of the things about Riesling, when it's got that sort of bit of elevated sweetness level, is often you see that the alcohol level just drop a little bit.
It does, yeah. That particular one's 11%, so it's reasonably low in alcohol. Having said that, there's a lot of dry Rieslings around that are as low, but what we try and do with our Rieslings is, as I said a while ago, pick part of it where we get the passion fruit spectrum, and naturally that's a bit riper.
Now, the connection for the reserves, the names of the reserves back to the land. We've got the Merriman Cabernet Sauvignon 2008, that's the reserve.
Yes, George Merriman was the first person who was issued title to the block of land where this Cabernet is grown. He ended up swapping this block with Isabel's relatives many years ago, and they had a block on land that he owned. So that was in the mid-1800s, and George Merriman was the grandfather of Sir Walter Merriman. Sir Walter Merriman's the pioneer of fine wool in Australia, and the Murrum-Bateman area is not only known for fine wine there, but fine wool was always been the mainstay of the district. This particular wine's not only hand-picked, but we've hand-selected it it's a 2008. It's that particular year was hot everywhere, but the fruit flavours were magnificent. So there was a little bit of shrivel in our Shiraz and Cabernet. So when we picked this, we deliberately only picked bunches without shrivel. And it's been in 30% new French oak for 28 months.
It's still got a bit of oak to it.
Oh yeah. And then all second-hand oak for the balance. But I think it's a lovely wine, and from a first reserve red, I'm pretty proud of it, and I love the nose. I'm getting a heap of mint, and
there's a lot of that sort of vanilla-y mint and
there is,
and blackberries and quite seamless. I mean, there's no sort of Cabernet often does that.
Yeah,
it's just
I think
runs right. So it's 100%. There's nothing.
100%, absolutely, 100% from the one block. It's 15% alcohol, which actually surprised me because the rest of the block was picked for our premium, and it did have some shrivel in it, and the premium's not quite as high as this. So,
okay, that's interesting. Quite seamless. I mean, there's no sort of Cabernet often does that.
Yeah,
it's just
I think
runs right. So it's 100%. There's nothing.
100%, absolutely, 100% from the one block. It's 15% alcohol, which actually surprised me because the rest of the block was picked for our premium, and it did have some shrivel in it, and the premium's not quite as high as this. So,
okay, that's interesting. Like that, you concentrate on Cabernet and Riesling, so your reserves are always going to be in those two?
I think so, even though the Canberra district's done very well with the Shiraz. Our vineyard's a little bit different in the reds to others, that we ripen Cabernet beautifully. 2 years in a row we were in the top 40 with the best Cabernet in New South Wales. We've won trophies in the Brisbane Wine Show, numerous trophies with our Cabernet, and it's just a variety that it's unique to our vineyard in the district, and we're just going to concentrate on that and really work on it.
Okay, Graeme, thank you very much for coming on Spitbucket.
Thank you, Ken, it's been a pleasure.
If there's any thoughts, comments, questions, idiotic statements from Swig about the Redskins, feel free to send them in, except that last one. Remember, we spit so you don't have to. Thank you.